Today we're going to talk about percent to a fraction. We're going to convert a percent to a fraction, and we're going to go ahead and put it in simplest form. So before we do that, let's talk about percent, and let's take the number 60%. Okay, we're going to take 60% and we want to write it as a fraction. Well, we're going to know that whenever we're talking about percent, percent is always out of 100. So it's 60 out of 100. 60 out of 100. 100 is going to be our key word there, right? It's always going to be out of 100. So I have to put this now as a fraction. So if it's 60 out of 100, I can write it like that as a fraction. I can write it as my 60 is my part. My fraction bar here is per, and then my 100 is my whole. So if I have 60 of the 100, I have 60 over 100. So the question is, can I simplify? Because it says we need to put this fraction in simplest form. So I'm going to take the 60 over 100. Can I simplify? You always want to ask yourself that question. Can I simplify? So if I have 60 over 100, well, I can easily just take off these two zeros and make it 6 over 10. And then I ask, is there anything that can go into 6 and 10? Well, yes, I know they can both be divided by 2. Right? They can both be divided by 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Can I simplify any more? No, I cannot. 3/5 is in simplest form. Let's try another problem. That's it. 60% written as a percent to a fraction simplest form. 60% is 3/5. Let's try another problem. Let's try 35%. Well, I have to put my 35% over 100. So it's going to be 35 over 100. There I have my 35%. I take off the percent sign and I just put it over 100. And I ask, can I simplify? And the answer is yes. I know that both 35 can be divided by 5 and 100 can be divided by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. Can I simplify any further? No, I cannot. So my fraction is 7/10. So 35% written as a fraction in simplest form is 7 over 20. I'm going to try a few more. Let's say I have 100%. Well, since I still have 100%, I have to put it into a fraction over 100. Well, I know 100 over 100 equals 1. So my final answer here would be 1. I know that sounds a little tricky because we're not less than 100%. We're a whole of the whole, which makes one whole. So 100% is one whole. Pause at any time if you need to keep up. We're going to get a little more complicated here. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with 174%. You notice these other ones, 60, 35, they've all been less than 100. Now we're going to 174%. Well, guess what? It's still the same thing. You put it over 100. Put it over 100. And this becomes a division problem, right? Because now our numerator is higher than our denominator. So I'm going to do 174 divided by 100. 174 divided by 100. Well, I know that 100 goes into 174 one time because if it goes in twice, it's 200. It's too much. So I'm going to go ahead and do it one time. And I'm going to subtract 100 and I get 74. So now I have 1 whole and 74 over 100. So I have 1 and 74 hundredths is my, now it's not a fraction, it's a mixed number, and that's okay, right? But I asked, can I simplify? Well, yes, both 74 and 100 are even, so I'm going to divide it by 2. So I still get my whole number of 1, and 74 divided by 2 is 37, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. So my answer is 1 and 37 hundredths, or 1 and 37 fiftieths. So if you look back here, my 174% is 1 and 37 over 50. Couple more things I want to show you and then we'll be done. Next one is 200%. Well, again, it's higher than 100%, right? But it's still going to go over 100. And like we said, it becomes a division problem. How many times does 100 go into 200? Well, it goes in 2 whole times. Subtract my 200 and my final answer is 2. So 200% would be 2. My last one that I want to squeeze in here, I'm going to squeeze it down here at the bottom of the paper, and that's okay. If I have 1000%, well, 1000% is still going to go over 100. And again, it becomes a division problem, just like it did up here, right? It's going to be, how many times does 100 go into 1000? And the answer is 10 times, right? So my answer here is going to be 10. So 1000% would equal, scooch it all the way over here, 10. Go back and watch the video if you need more help or if you need to clarify something.